think I'm on thing 5 or 6 now. At my intake, I should have received a clitoral exam, and I got sort of one. He didn't check me for clitoral adhesions. This is the doctor who sort of like invented clitoral adhesions as being like a big problem that a lot of women have. I think it's because he gets a lot of patients with lichen sclerosis and atrophy, and it occurs primarily in patients with that as a medical history. So he didn't check for that. As he later put it, to directly quote him, "We were so busy with the vestibule, we forgot bloody blah." I don't know who the we is here, it's him. He didn't check. So this would be important because he prescribed me systemic and local testosterone replacement. Now, the problem with the adhesions is that when you have natural secretions, they get trapped under the hood there and they build up and they can get infected and cause irritation. That's called balanitis. This is an issue that's primarily found and pretty common in males. And, coincidentally, males have way more natural testosterone than females. What a crazy connection that is. I seem to be the only person who has made that connection. So this doctor puts me on systemic testosterone, doesn't check and diagnose me with the adhesions that I have, doesn't tell me that I need to clean under the hood and retract it and like wash there to make sure I'm getting smegma buildup out, and sends me on my way. And meanwhile, I'm also, as you just heard, had chronic yeast infection, so inflammation, yeast itself is getting up there. And within 2 months of being his patient and doing the testosterone replacement, I experienced excruciating pain there for the first time in my life. It was one day, it was August 25th, and it actually felt like a UTI or another yeast infection, but I didn't have the typical signs. I didn't have any reason. I was still was crying. I was peeing 40 times a day. I was with a friend and traveling out of the area, and I was take me to the CVS and taking those tests, and everything was negative, and it was just terrifying. It was preceded by a couple of days of actually weeks of feeling this grain of sand feeling, and I just assumed that weird irritation feeling in my clitoris was from being on testosterone. I thought, oh, this is maybe it's a good thing. It doesn't really feel good, but maybe it's a good thing. I'm supposed to be feeling more sensation there. But now I know it was actually keratin pearls forming. So when smegma is trapped up there and it also dries out and hardens, it turns into these little specks, these little grains of almost like sand that are called keratin pearls. And so I think I had those for a while, like the adhesions, and they really weren't a huge problem. They weren't causing a lot of pain. It was when a lot of smegma got produced that it then got infected and built up, and suddenly I had this horrible acute day of whoa, the tides turned. I suddenly had this horrible pain. Well-established treatment for balanitis, one of them is just to wash it away. The smegma, the irritating smegma, clean. Another is topical anti-inflammatories, especially clobetasol or another topical steroid. This doctor, when I went down there to be what the hell is happening, did diagnose me with keratin pearls, adhesions, and smegma buildup, balanitis. He didn't tell me to do any of the conservative treatments for any of those things. Now, you can even treat adhesions conservatively with manual release. You can treat smegma buildup manually by sitting in a hot bath, and kind of jiggling the hood to try to loosen it up and get it out. People have used tools to do that on themselves. I've seen it. People have used lidocaine to it's pretty painful when you get the balanitis, so to numb it. People use the clobetasol. I think from future experiences that I had when I was still using the systemic testosterone, that it was really the balanitis, the infected smegma, that was causing the acute pain symptoms. So that's important because that's treated with topical steroid. I was not told to use topical steroid. I was told that I needed a $1,500 lysis of adhesions, clitoral lysis of adhesion surgery, that was the best, quickest, fastest way to get myself out of this agony. And so of course I was when can we schedule it? I had actually just started kind of dating someone, and I was this was coming right in the middle of when I was ready to nothing had really happened yet, but I was ready for it, and this just happened, and it just sort of ruined that. And so I was at the time pretty anxious to get better so I could kind of see if this guy was still available. I never got better. I went down there for the lysis of adhesions procedure, and they didn't anesthetize me adequately. And I know that because I had a subsequent procedure in the same area where they did the same things, and I didn't feel a thing. And this procedure was excruciatingly painful. I was having a hard time keeping my knees open in the stirrups because my body was just like, shut it down. I was shaking with the pain. I don't know why they didn't just stop and inject more local anesthetic. When I had a subsequent procedure, I didn't feel anything, and they made sure to anesthetize me. This doctor, after this horrible procedure, literally said, turned to the nurse and said, "This is why I prefer to do this in the OR. It's more humane." And I had just been through hell, and I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Afterwards, I was just grateful because I was like, okay, I'm gonna get better now. I made it through it. He showed me the keratin pearls, like they'd taken photos of the procedure. Sorry, I forgot to explain what a lysis is. They take, mosquito forceps. They get in between the hood of your clitoris, which is stuck to the glands from atrophy or inflammation over years or lichen sclerosis, and they separate the hood from the glands where it's been stuck. I mean, but if you look at adhesions, and maybe you can look at pictures after this, or I can maybe link you to some, like it is stuck. It is stuck, like if my fingers fuse together. So it's really more like they're cutting skin. And also they're sticking needles directly into your glands and your hood to numb you. And so it's pretty excruciatingly painful. It's pretty intense and invasive. There's bleeding. They had scissors, tweezers. The tweezers were the forceps, and one more kind of tool. I'm blanking out right now. Tweezers. They were pulling out the keratin pearls and pulling out smegma and little hairs and stuff that had gotten built up there, gunk and stuff. So like I did get validated that the procedure was something that was necessary, but I do also think that I could have easily done it conservatively as well, and I don't know why that wasn't encouraged. I healed on the bottom, on the left-hand side, on the top, on the front, on the back. And on the right-hand side, I had pain still. And as the days passed, the pain was like tingling, electric, burning, really burning, and it's just really on the right side and kind of sending burning, tingling pain up to my right side belly button, right side of my pelvis, down my right groin, down my right labia. It was super weird. Eventually, I did have to take pictures for this doctor to show my healing, and he said everything was looking fine. And then one of the days I was like, what the hell? I gotta figure out what this is, what's going on here. Like I should be feeling a lot better. Everywhere else is feeling better. This is not feeling better. And I looked and I saw that this little thing right underneath the glands, there were two of them, and they're called frenulum. I'd never thought about them before, never heard of them before. I had to look up anatomy online, like what is the thing below the clitoris nub? And it's a frenulum. Okay, so there's two of them. My right one was 3 times the size of my left one. It was also red and swollen and shiny looking. It looked terrible. And this was like just me with my bad phone camera and like before I got a macro lens and stuff. And so I sent that picture to him and he said everything looked fine. So I sent the same picture back, but I circled the thing that was 3 times the size of the other one. And I said, this is the thing I'm talking about. What do you think about that? And it hurts. And I touched it and it felt like burning electric fire, like a volcano, lava. It was just horrible, electrifying shock pain just there on this tiny little thing. And he said, oh yeah, that looks bad. And so he thought it was an infection and gave me antibiotics. And he gave me topical steroids, oral steroids. Oh, first he tried to just have me do sitz baths. And I was like, dude, I'm already doing sitz baths. Give me the antibiotics. Did ointments. Weeks passed. Went back down there and he didn't really know what was going on. He had no idea what had happened. Didn't explain anything to me. Didn't, take any responsibility for this being a side effect or a outcome of this procedure, that I also believe I had to sign a waiver saying that, nerve damage could result from this, like, any medical procedure. Between the glands and the frenulum, like right in between, he thought he saw in a photo, not in real life, a little white, tiny, like the size of my fingernail, skin that he thought was a scar band that had formed, we don't know how, and it was constricting blood flow to the rest of the tissue below it, not above it, because everything above it was fine. My clitoris glands was fine, but below it, frenulum was not. And he said we should excise that. We should cut it out, like cut it so we break up the scar tissue, and that will make things better again. I mean, I had no better options.